having this rain sleeve on the camera. I know. I can only imagine. The weather's been all over the place. It's yeah, me too.
Hi everyone. We are broadcasting here from Terra Nova Dressage. This is the second show, and they are hosting a CDI 4-star World Cup qualifier. We are broadcasting live stream for the World Cup CDI 4-star and Grand Prix special and the Grand Prix freestyles tonight at Terra Nova here in Mayaca, Florida, which is just a short drive from downtown Sarasota and Bradenton, Florida. This is the first time Terra Nova has hosted a combined CIC 4-star event and a CDI 4-star dressage show at the same time. With this being only their second show, they can be proud of their ability to withstand both the devastating 100-mile-per-hour winds and rain of Hurricane Ian and all of the thousands of demands undertaken for this prestigious event.
Yes, Aaron, it's quite an undertaking, and when you drive through this area, you see the devastation all around, trees down, still lining the roads, a lot of debris, and trucks picking it up and carrying it off all day long, every day. And yet we are here in this very serene environment that has been cleaned up quickly and pulled off in such a fantastic manner. It's really unbelievable. The facility is top-notch. It looks like nothing has even touched it in much less inclement weather. And the weather this weekend has been absolutely beautiful. It's hard to tell that anything went through.
That is so true. I would like to actually introduce myself. My name is Erin Brinkman. I am a bronze, silver, and gold USDF medalist with the USDF Dressage Federation, and I am also placed 5th this year with my lovely, phenomenal JW, who is owned by Julie Whitfield, in the Intermediate 1 freestyle with a 73% median. And I'm joined today with Andrew Palmer, and he is an event rider, but he's also a dressage rider competing through the FEI level. And he is also a breeder of fine Trakehner horses.
Thank you, Aaron.
The events here at Terra Nova with the organizing team is stepping up their commitment to community giving through the We Care at Terra Nova initiative. By the end of the weekend, a minimum of $100,000 will be donated to our 3 partnered nonprofit organizations. Terra Nova Equestrian Center's core values are to impact the community positively, and the We Care at Terra Nova charity rider competition creates an opportunity for all to participate and give back. All competitors taking part in the eventing and dressage competition this weekend will be competing representing one of the 3 partnered nonprofit organizations, Meals on Wheels, Plus of Manatee, the Sarasota Manatee Association for Riding Therapy, and Southeastern Guide Dogs. We invite you to visit our website for additional information. We Care at Terra Nova, how does it work? Throughout this weekend's competition, riders in both eventing and dressage will be competing on behalf of the 3 local nonprofit organizations with the $100,000 at least prize money generously provided by the Terra Nova Equestrian Foundation. Scoring of the competition will be calculated through all riders' combined scores. For eventing, the lowest combined score will take top call. Final scores will determine the grant received by each organization. First place is to receive $25,000, second place $20,000, and third place $15,000. For dressage, the highest combined score will take top call. Final scores will determine the bonus received by each nonprofit. First place is to receive a $5,000 bonus, second place $3,000, and third, second, $2,000. We invite you to visit our website again for more information on our partnered nonprofit organizations at the We Care at Terra Nova initiative. We are just about to begin, and the first tests being ridden this evening are in the Grand Prix Special, which is a CDI 4-star sanctioned event. And the first rider this evening is number 522, Her name is Shelley Van Den Nest. She is a U.S. citizen, and she will be competing on her horse, Eyecatcher. He is a Dutch gelding born in 2009. His sire is Tietse, dam Melanie W., and the sire of dam is
President of the
Belisar.
Crown Jury this weekend from the United States at sea is Bill Warren. And M.
I was able to
Hooks
speak with
from
Shelley
the
Van Den
United
Nest
States
earlier,
and the Prix,
and she said
Senator
yesterday was the first time
from
competing
Colombia.
together in an
We
international
will be
four-star
underway
CDI
in about
event,
2.5
and
minutes
tonight is their first time in the dark and under the
in
lights.
our four-star Grand Prix special.
Hannah Lysick, Shelley's daughter, is here showing Eyecatcher's younger brother, Ivoryanko, in the CDI Amateur Grand Prix division. Shelley and Eyecatcher are heading to the U.S. Dressage Finals in 2 weeks after coming off a win in the Grand Prix Freestyle at Regional Championships 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Aaron, and it's really interesting to note the environment here, the competitors and everybody watching from the sidelines and the lights, and it's a pretty big environment and a good preparation for these horses to be showing under the lights and in this sort of busy
Environment.
busy
Yeah,
environment
it's actually
going on.
quite environment. They actually have a live band that's playing under us. We're upstairs, and we can hear that live band playing quite loudly, and then there's lots of people here to watch and eat dinner and party, etc. That was a beautiful entry by Shelley. Something interesting for our fans at home, this Grand Prix special test has 4 extended trots. It's the only test in all of the dressage tests that has 4 extended trots in it, and therefore it requires quite a bit of stamina from the horse. These two are showing a beautiful outline, and it just couldn't be more picture perfect here with the setting sun and the fountain in the background, and actually the beautiful facility in the background.
Yes, you can see how this is going to end up being a destination event for a lot of riders, especially leading up to final competitions and bigger shows ending the year. It's just a great place to get started, and not to mention the environment and the whole crowd here is just very, very welcoming.
So far, Shelley is averaging around 66%.
Yes, and I would expect that in her canter work that probably will get a little bit better. Her average for the year on the national level is 68%, with scores up to 75 with this horse. So I think that there's still a lot to come that, she's going to show us a little later in the test. The trot work is really nice, very rhythmical, and like you said, with 4 extensions in this, it's a lot of going forward, coming back, going forward, coming back. And she seems to be able to manage all of that without creating a lot of tension in the horse, showing a lot of relaxation here in the test, and the walk really will show a bit of that as well.
Yes, so far it's been a really lovely, smooth ride, expressive. It looks soft. It looks harmonious.
Very clear in the walk, very nice there in the extension.
And what you said earlier, Drew, about the transitions become very important in this test because there are quite a few scores between the transitions and the extended trot and then back to the passage, with also transitions from collected walk to piaffe and then back to passage.
Yeah, and she's really setting the stage to show a lot of relaxation in the test, so the other riders better really bring a a nice steady tempo to those things as well, as she's really showing us how it's done.
Yeah, she's showing how impressive her connection with this horse is, because with the environment, it has definitely been tricky for some of the horses to handle, and this horse seems completely with her.
Yeah, watching this with the noise going on underneath us and right outside of the arena with this horse, you have to just really realize how focused he is on her right now. And there you can see a little bit of the crowd in the background, and it may be hard to appreciate the live band and all the movement that's going on. Beautiful transition there.
He's very active, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you can see how this canter really is a nice canter for this horse, and probably where some of the scores start to come up.
And she's frequently releasing her hands and asking him to stretch his neck out in front of her, which is nice to see. And that's a particularly difficult movement because the half pass is so extremely sideways, because we have to get from K to B and then back to B to H.
And there at H, he was even a little early. As you can see, this horse has a lot of suppleness laterally. I don't think crossing the arena in a lateral motion is very difficult for him. Very pretty there.
Yeah, he really is expressive in the changes.
And finishes as well as he starts on that line there.
Yep, so far that has offered her highest score in this test of a 7.5.
Yeah, and the lovely relaxation in that line of ones. You can see where this horse gets his points, where he really starts to raise the average up more towards his trending national average.
Yeah, he actually received 2 7.5s in that movement, and the rest of the scores were 7s.
Nice and on the spot with that change. Again, coming back from a forward canter into a nice collection just in time for a change, and here we are in the pirouette. Seeing the same horse all throughout the test as he goes forward, as he comes back, just really hasn't gone away from her in this whole test.
No, he could have been just a little bit more forward in the pirouette. Got just a little bit behind her aids, but she recovered it really well. Oops, just a little bit of a bobble there at the end and maybe coming in. We're at the side of the ring, so I can't see the center line, but the judges would love to see those start from a shoulder 4 position and not from a haunches in position. So he should maintain the same rhythm in and out of the passage and the piaffe. And he's just struggling a little bit, maybe getting a little tired.
And Aaron, is the difficulty in that the horse is going down center line anticipating a halt, and yet it has to stay moving in that piaffe?
Oh my gosh, that's so difficult. You know, for the first however many years, 10 years, they're halting at X, and then all of a sudden in these Grand Prix tests and a little bit in the I2 test, they're no longer able to stop there. So that does definitely create some difficulty for us riders and horses, and some misunderstanding as to why they're not stopping there.
Yeah, he looked ready to plant himself in a nice square halt, and she had to just give him a little indication that we're still going. We still have a little bit more of center line to take up, and he was, you know, for sure not argumentative at all. Just a little maybe on the spot with the halt early.
Right, and you know the halt at G, she did receive an 8 for that, and in her general impression, she received a score all the way up to 7.5 and a lot of 7s. So that's quite good for a general impression of a Grand Prix special test.
Very good, and yeah, and like I said, she really did put a good impression out here for the start of this show, and kind of set the bar at a pretty good standard for what the judges are going to want to see and what will impress them as far as the overall outline and also the harmony of the horse and rider.
So her overall score was a 65.426, and she had a 65, a 64.8, a 64, a 67.9, and a 65.2 from the different judges. Our next rider is Patricia Ferrando. She is going to be riding her horse Connoisseur. She is representing Venezuela, and Connoisseur SJ is by Connoisseur. Connoisseur is actually owned by Patricia Zilio and the rider Patricia Ferrando. Patricia qualified to compete for her country of Venezuela in 2018 for the Pan American Games, and Patricia also competed in the 2015 Continental Regional Games in Toronto, Ontario. Her ambition is to one day compete in the Olympic Games.
Well, Aaron, you know, they came out last night and competed, so they have a little bit of familiarity with this ring, familiarity with all that's going on. Actually, it's a bit less windy than it was yesterday, at least in the afternoon. But this horse, I remember just catching my eye from across the arena while we were having dinner last night, and it just makes such an impression. As soon as he circles the ring, heads start turning, and his work in the arena also just keeps you interested.
That's true. He is a Dutch gelding, born in 2012. Again, he's by Connoisseur, and his dam was Aralina, and the sire of the dam is Jazz. And a nice square halt to start with good energy out of the halt. She received 2 8s in that movement for the halt.
Oh, and that was a shame. Just a little bobble in this extension, because you can see that's where this horse has such good balance and really can show a lot of expression.
For even higher scores, we would like to see the neck a little more opened up, but this is a beautiful horse, especially to see in person. He's elegant, he's graceful, he's long-legged. He really has the modern type of warm blood look that we like.
Yeah, and as you can see, the more that he pushes forward, the more he pushes his wither up and really comes uphill across that diagonal. Maybe just lost a little balance in that first extension, but still the potential of this horse is really world-class.
It really is, and he's very dynamic in the passage with a really active hind leg that he works hard to keep lifted off the ground.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much stamina he has at the end, although he doesn't look like he's going to lose anything. It's just so fluid and so graceful, with a lot of power, a lot of activity coming from behind.
Yeah, he's in a really nice uphill balance, doesn't he?
Yes.
An interesting fact is that Patricia is actually a Venezuelan and also an Italian citizen.
Dual citizenship, all right. So she has 2 chances.
That's right.
And this horse really knows how to come from forward to back into that passage and get active right away. There's not very much delay at all before he starts snapping those hind legs under and lifting the knees and really elevating himself.
Yep, so far she's averaging over 70% in this test. This passage could be just a touch more forward for even more regularity, but it's hard to critique because he really is dynamic and beautiful. Here he shows really good overstride, length of stride, and even with the environment, he showed some nice opening of the neck and stretch.
Is that going straight into the pee-off from the walk? How difficult is that to get the horse to not have tension and step into that, Aaron?
It's really tricky because once they've ridden this test, they're starting to anticipate that that movement is going to happen. And so some tension creeps in with some of the horses, and she really navigated that well.
Navigated it well in an environment that itself should cause tension. These horses really are focused. It's unbelievable how in tune with the rider the first 2 have been.
And this horse showing so much keenness to try for his owner rider, Patricia.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because he has such a dynamic pee-off and passage, but it seems like that's what he's done the whole test. It's really, you just can't look away, so it's like it lasts forever.
Yeah, and like I said, it really does require the horse to have a lot of stamina and desire to please, and he's showing both of those in spades.
And really nicely how he opened up in the short side of this arena. You could see this horse can really sit down and almost over collect, and when she goes into the lateral movement, she really gets him moving across the diagonal. It almost looked like that would be a sticking point, but he just opens right up. Maybe lost a little balance there.
That's true. It was beautifully ridden, and again, we're from the side, so we can't see the bend or the angle, but from our side, that looked really beautiful. Whoops.
And here you can see where the quickness of this test starts to catch up just a little bit with the horse.
He's just a little bit tense in those. There was just a little miscommunication that happened right out of the gate with that first ask. So she asked, and then he didn't change, and then she was good because she was good with her count, but he got a little bit tense. And these should be the 1-tempies, but he's struggling a little bit to get those started. Oh, that's too bad. That will cost her a bit because
And that's one of those places where that ability to collect can really backfire on you. He can sit so far under, but in that same moment, if he gets a little confused, it's hard to bring him out of that hyper collection and get him to start moving back through his body for the count of those changes.
That is so true. And she's
Here
going to
you can
have
see
another.
that. I mean, he can practically do a pirouette out of the corner.
Yes, he can.
This really is a strong suit.
Oh, yeah. This horse can sit and carry weight. And now she's going to have another 9 1-tempies we hope to see here on the center line. Oh, shoot. Not their tape or the changes so far. That is unfortunate because she's had such a beautiful test, and have it be marred by those two particular movements has got to be a little frustrating. And on the other hand, she can be so proud of this test and her relationship with her horse, the trust he's showing to her, and the quality of the piaffe passage. And that was really a nice extended trot.
And really a lot of tactfulness from the rider to get through that movement as rocky as it can be, and then move on and just bring a lot of quality in the very next step.
Now she's coming down her last center line for her passage, piaffe, and passage again.
And this horse does not get tired. He looks like he just gets better and better at this.
Yeah, he's impressive with his energy.
And about to come on the spot with that piaffe, and no hint of halting. He's just right into that on the spot, and maybe a little creeping forward, but that's a little what they want, or that might have covered a little bit too much ground.
Mind a little bit, but the quality again of that was so good. There was one little tiny misstep in the hind leg, but like you said, what was really good was there was no change in the rhythm or tempo coming from the passage to the piaffe. And now you can see the beautiful sunset that's going on behind the ring.
Yeah,
and
it's
Terra
glowing.
Nova's
Glowing. It's hard to even appreciate in the video, but just like the horses, it's just a lot of things that are hard to capture on the video, but it's just an absolutely picturesque setting.
Well, so far the score looks to be around 68.362.
And that has to do with that just quality of piaffe and passage carrying this horse through the test.
So she has received a 66.8, a 69.2, a 67.7, a 70.2, and a 67.76. General impression around a 7. And I'm sure that would have been even higher if those 1-tempies and 2-tempies had gone smoothly today. But she can be so proud and happy with her horse. It was a beautiful effort. The next horse coming up is number 502. This is Ecuestre. Her horse is F.J. Ramses. He is owned by Wendy Sasser, and he is a Dutch horse, gelding, born in 2010. He's by Juventus, and his dam is J. Rambiance, and she is by Rempal. Lehua told me earlier that Ramses did not have a very expressive trot as a young horse, but as he developed, he began to have fancier and more expressive gaits. He was actually purchased by Wendy Sasser as a yearling to be her competition horse. Lehua began to ride and show him as a young horse as he was a high-energy young horse. And when he began to show fancier gaits and real talent for the FEI, Wendy asked Lehua to take over his training and see how far he could go. Once he learned how to use his body, he learned all of the dressage movements really quickly, even offering the piaffe from a simple half halt, in basically one day. He is a sensitive horse that almost never requires the need for a whip. Lehua has shown him through every level, from training level to Grand Prix. And in 2017, when she began to show him third level, they won every class they entered, including the Festival of Champions at Lamplight. And as you can see, he may not have been expressive when he was young, but he is quite expressive now.
Yeah, I think that's a long lost comment on this horse, because expression seems to be his cup of tea.
That is true. He is quite impressive to see in person. I got to see him at the World Equestrian Center as well. And in person, I was quite taken with his ability and their relationship. Again, a horse that really tries for his rider. He tries to give her everything he's got. And that's just really beautiful because it's so slow. In other words, it comes off the ground, but there's absolutely no hurried look to it at all. Another interesting fact is that Lehua was born in Maui and she lived in California. And when this horse started to show so much potential, she relocated to Wellington, Florida.
Well, that was a good move for her. As you can see, they really have a partnership. You can tell she's had this horse and really brought him along for, his whole career. That starts to show, especially those little things you say, like the timing of this extended trot. She just knows how to sit there and allow him full rotation of the shoulder as he pushes, and then comes back almost with a thought.
Lehua says he is a routine horse. He's always potties in the same place, sleeps on his right side. He knows her car and will yell at her when she drives into the barn. He insists that she hand walk him before her other horse, Fortuna, her young stallion Tuna. Otherwise, he will whinny and scream at her and make a big fuss.
And that's really nice of her stallion Tuna to take a back seat to this guy, and I guess he'll have his time to shine. But this one, they obviously have a relationship, and he's very determined to keep that close and do his part, and expects the same of her, obviously.
Exactly. And as you can see, he is really active behind. And as he carries that forward, you get to see just how active this horse can be.
Yeah, and able to keep such a good rhythm with that sort of lift and push. It's not the easiest thing to do.
No,
not to mention everything going on around him. But
absolutely. And the compactness of his body just really kept himself under her throughout that turn. What we would maybe like to see is that he could come up just a little quicker with the hind leg, with the front leg, because the hind leg snaps off the ground just a little quicker than the front leg if we were to be extremely picky.
But and right into a huge bounding canter.
Yeah, and that would be extremely picky. But as he develops, because as Lehua has told me, this is just her second CDI Grand Prix with this horse. She's going to develop that where he can keep that power even more on the hind leg, I imagine, over time. But there's really not a lot to improve. And she's a nice, quiet rider. Her hands are quite still all the time. The aiding is quite subtle. It's the things we look for when we watch these tests. Whoops. We're just seeming to have some change problems this evening. Those were supposed to be the 2 tempies as well, and he anticipated the 1 tempies.
Yeah, and that's turning back towards the crowd. That's turning back towards everywhere. He doesn't seem to lose focus, but the horses might just get a little in front of the aids. Again, anticipating what's coming in the test. And she did a good job of slowing him back down in his brain and giving him the cues to wait on that change every 2 strides.
Yes, and we both watched the test last night, and they were completely clean. And, it just can be just one of those days, one of those nights where things just happen, and that's part of it. And this horse has a just amazing extended canter to see in person. It carries so much loft and range.
And then right back into a very jumping, collected canter. Again, like she just thinks about it and he comes underneath her.
Yes, because that's not an easy movement to go from that extended canter to the collected canter to the flying change right into that pirouette at D. So that's the very first letter that you come to. Lovely one tempies, really lovely pirouette. And again, at G, she'll do her second pirouette. He's really active and quick behind in those.
Yeah, and from a standpoint of breeding, you know, the last horse that we saw, ultra modern, very expressive, very uphill. This horse's breeding is much older. He's a little bit more of a classic breeding. Older sire, older dam, really comes in with some activity that breeding must have been quite a bit before his time, because he really has the activity of that horse before, which is much younger parents, much more modern in the whole breeding scheme. And this horse says, well, it doesn't really matter. I've got the skills to do this, and here you go.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Olympic Pharaoh, who, you know, was in the Olympics a while ago. Same kind of coloring and just a little bit of the same kind of look.
Yeah, well, they go back to the same sire, but further up on this one's pedigree.
Oh, really?
That stallion, Ulft.
Interesting.
I probably mispronounced that. But
wow, that was really beautiful. She can be so happy with him. He tried his heart out. These first two horses have been impressive, and the riders have been equally as impressive.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see. Lua is just such a fun person to be around, and what is fun to see is she's just proud of him. You know, she's grateful to the horse, and you can see that relationship shines anytime that she's around him or on him.
That is true, and when I watched her at the last show, she was smiling throughout the test. She was having so much fun. So her scores are an average of 71.277. So with all the judges, she scored over 70%. And that's impressive. And he's walking out so relaxed and proud of himself, isn't he, Drew?
And that's very exciting to see and very well deserved. You know, we watched her last night in was it the Grand Prix she rode last night?
Yes.
Did a great job, but really kind of at the end we thought, she got some deductions that were a little bit hard after watching the whole thing to see, but tonight she really got rewarded, and it's fun to watch that personal best take place right here.
Absolutely. That was just beautiful. So she's, I know, super excited and proud, and she has won that class with a 71.277. Patricia was second with a 68.362, and Shelley Van Den Nest was third with a 65.426. They're all good scores, and all of these ladies can be super proud of themselves. We are going to have a little break now before the freestyles start. And I would like to talk a little bit about Terra Nova and the volunteer hours that are happening for the hurricane relief. Despite its eye passing close to the Terra Nova Equestrian Center, this venue was spared serious damage from Hurricane Ian. But that is not the case for many Floridians. Many will deal with the storm's devastation for months and even years to come. The management team at Terra Nova shares concern for our fellow Floridians facing adversity. The Terra Nova Foundation will donate $20 to the Florida Disaster Fund for every volunteer hour worked during the event at Terra Nova CCI4 Star S and Dressage at Terra Nova Dressage 2 CDI 4-star CDIW. Look for our hurricane relief thermometer display to track how volunteer hours are raised raising funds to support those in need. I think that will be happening for us too. We might be volunteering some hours, Drew.
Yeah, and it's really great to see that you come here and we all volunteer in the spirit of the sport, but that turning into relief for people around us. It's just we get rewarded twice for for being able to be a part of this show, but then also to see that is transferred into a donation to help those around. And all you have to do is drive, a mile away from here and to the town of Sarasota, and you see all the damage and people coming together and working to clear this all up. And it's nice to know that we'll be part of a contribution to bring relief to those people.
And charity seems to be really their theme here at Terra Nova. The individual charities that we talked about earlier that the riders will be participating in are Meals on Wheels Plus of Manatee. Meals on Wheels Plus of Manatee provides nutrition and caring supportive services to assist individuals in Manatee County to live independently, with programs centered around nutrition and social connection. Meals on Wheels Plus of Manatee operates 4 main programs, which include home-delivered meals, the Food Bank of Manatee, Daybreak Adult Day Center, and Friendship Dining Centers. SMART, which is the pseudonym for Sarasota Manatee Association for Riding Therapy, the Sarasota Manatee Association for Riding Therapy, also known as SMART, improves the quality of lives of their SMART families through therapeutic horseback riding. And the third charity that we are all working here towards as exhibitors is the Southeastern Guide Dogs. Southeastern Guide Dogs transform lives by creating and nurturing extraordinary partnerships between people and dogs. So based on the final placings, each organization will receive a payment, and that will be announced at the end of each day. Also new this year, the Terra Nova Equestrian Foundation offered these non-profit partners the opportunity to participate in a matching challenge, matching every dollar raised up to $10,000 leading up to the end of the weekend. We also have a surprise for them. As for those who participated, there's an additional $5,000 bonus. So each volunteer will be keeping track of their hours, and $20 per hour will be donated directly to the hurricane relief. But now we have our ladies coming back into the ring. As you can see, Lehua has won it with F.J. Ramsey's. Patricia has placed second, or reserve, with Connoisseur. And third place is Shelley Van Den Nest with her horse, Eye Catcher. Eye Catcher looks very proud of himself tonight. And this 10-year-old gelding Connoisseur, he's a little bit nervous, but she's handling it well. Like I said, there is a lot going on here. We have under us a huge pavilion which faces this dressage ring, with hundreds of people kind of laughing and partying and having their dinner and watching the show. And we did have a live band playing earlier, but that has quieted down a little bit. Lehua is very happy. And Hannah of Terra Nova is walking out now. She is the proud owner of this facility. And we had William Warren, who was one of our presiding judges.
Bueno, bueno, bueno. Excuse me. Can you please put your headset and tell me if you hear myself? Did you hear me, please? Okay. Do you hear me? Yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. It's
Okay.
a little bit low, but I think we
Okay.
can work with that. But yeah, we're cool.
We're back underway. I mean,